about networking. And I want to talk about networking because networking sounds scary. And a lot of people are like, ooh, networking, isn't that where I like have to go and like tell people what I do and it's awkward and it's like structured and weird and no. Networking is very fun and very simple, you guys. A very saying that many people say in this industry and pretty much every industry is that people don't care what you know until they know that you care. So that is the first part of ask. Asking is what we base our networking on. First and foremost, when you go into a conversation, if you're at a networking event, it means meeting new people. This is true. A lot of times it's like, I don't want to be that person that approaches. That's so awkward. I wish somebody would approach me. And then the person who approaches you, you're like, gosh, they're so confident. They're so amazing. What do? You know what? They just bit the bullet and did it. They got over their fear and did it. So you know what? Go be that person. Go be the person that goes up to somebody who's standing alone and be like, hey, I'm Karina. Nice to meet you. What do you do? Or however you want to phrase it. Be the brave person. Break the ice, because the other person's like, whoa, who is that? They must be really confident. They must know what they're doing. And you're just like, haha, they have no idea. Even if it's a big group, this is, I think, the hard one is you go into like an event and everybody's like in a group of some sort and you're just kind of like, I don't know what to do. This is awkward. It is totally acceptable to go up to one of those groups. Maybe there's like one person talking and kind of go to the other side of the conversation or the circle and kind of, nudge in and be like, hey, you guys seem like the friendliest group here. What do I have to do to get into this circle? Or some sort of joke. Maybe, like, hey, you guys seem like the popular crowd. How do I join the gang? Or something, just an icebreaker. And then that person will be like, oh, hey, come on in. And now everybody else looking around you thinks you and this person are friends. And then at a break, this person will probably introduce you. Or they'll be like, oh, we're all accountants. Are you an accountant? You can be like, no, I'm not an accountant, but I sure could use a good accountant friends or whatever. Joke about it. It's fine. It's totally awesome. So you're going to be lighthearted. You're going to approach people. That is your first step. Number 2, you're going to ask. You always want to be the first person who asks. This is ridiculously important. If you don't get anything else out of this, well, this is one of 2 things you have to get. You want to be the first person to ask. You want to be the first person to ask, especially if it's one-on-one. The group situation is a good idea because you can kind of direct it. But if it's one-on-one, you want to be the first person to ask. And I will tell you why. Because the first person to speak has to give their elevator pitch. If you don't know what an elevator pitch is, this is kind of like your generic commercial, your generic plug. This is what I do and this is why it's great and this is why you should buy from me. That's an elevator pitch, and it's generic because you don't know specifically who you're talking to. If you're the first person to ask, you can find out what they do and get interested in them. What do you do? Why do you do that? What made you get into that? What kind of schooling does it take to get to that point? Where do you do that at? Is that do you do it from your home? Is your family supportive of that? Sounds like a lot of hours. Anything that you can find out about them. People love to talk about themselves. It is a no-brainer. People love that. And then what's going to happen is eventually they're going to be like, oh, wait a minute. I've never asked this person what they do. And now they're interested in you because you're interested in them. And they're like, hey, we have this bond because you know about me. And now when they ask you, you're not giving an elevator pitch. You are giving a focused presentation. Now you know this person. You know what they're interested in. You know where they work. You know what kind of family they have. You know what kind of priorities they have. So instead of just generically spouting out something about yourself, you can actually have a conversation with them focused on them and how what you do can meet a need of theirs. Does that make sense? So now it's just not this awkward, like, I spout my job, you spout your job, and then it's awkward and we look at each other and we're like, okay, I'm going to go meet somebody new. Okay, so let's talk about the fact that I misspelled the word ask. Did you notice that? I'm a horrible speller, but that was on purpose. So ask, A-S-C. It stands for always seek connections. You don't just ask for the sake of asking. You're not just like, oh, hey, I'm going to do this and do this. You always want to seek connections. You don't just ask these questions for like the purpose of, I'm going to gather connections. The other day, Caleb Maddox was in an interview. This kid's like 14 years old. He's just a phenomenal business person. If you don't know who he is, you really should find out. He was asked like how he gets these big connections, and his response was, I don't care how many people are at my funeral. Kid's 14. Like, what do you mean? He said, I don't care how many people are at my funeral. I care how many people cry at my funeral. That's kind of dark. But his whole point was, it's not about how many connections you have. It is about how many deep connections you get. So when you go into these networking events, some people think like it's about how many business cards I get and about how many people take my business card and about how many people I can talk to and all this sort of stuff. And the truth of it is, if you go there and you hand out 70 business cards and you don't actually connect with anybody, guess what? Nobody cares. Nobody cares. But if you go and you have 5 nice conversations with people and you learn about them and they actually listen and learn about you, then you have a chance of doing business. There's another saying that people do business with others that they know, like, and trust. They know, like, and trust. And if you haven't reached that point, if you just went in and you spouted off your elevator pitch 40 times, it's not getting you there. And it feels awkward and you go home and you're like, this is just weird. And that is why networking feels gross. But if you go in and you connect with 5 people and you learn about 5 people and you end up connecting with them on LinkedIn or Facebook or whatever it is, then you're going to walk out there and you're going to be like, hey, I made 5 new friends. And if you walk out of there, you're going to feel good. And that's how you will know you did networking right, because you went out there, you asked questions, you built connections, and you're like, yeah, I made new friends today. I'm such a Girl Scout. Go me.